I'm an entrepreneur, right? But I didn't really trust myself. I tell myself that every 3 or 4 years, all the time, really, I really need a different job. Well, they kept giving me promotions. I'd work really hard, get a promotion into something. The pandemic hit, and because of that, I actually got fired. Obviously, that's going to force you to look really hard at what you're doing.
Yeah.
So I didn't ever actually have to make that choice that, hey, look, this is, I'm going to quit my day job and go into this. I think that's a very difficult decision to make, especially if you have family and kids. It's easier to be forced to than to make that decision on your own.
What's up, everyone? We're here with another episode of Own the Exit. I'm your co-host, Aaron.
I'm your co-host, Caleb, and we're super excited to have Alex Olson in the studio here with us as our guest.
Yep, he's here live from Kansas City, which is great. It's always nice to have a guest live versus Zoom. Yeah, I've known Alex for a number of years, transacted a lot in real estate, so just excited to hear a little bit of your entrepreneurial journey, some of your business experience. So Alex, how long have you been in real estate, and what kind of, I know you've done various jobs and even business things in the past. What kind of directed you towards real estate, and fill us in on that?
Yeah, so I've been in real estate for 4 or 5 years now. I started off as an investor, actually. And how I got there is a little bit of a longer journey, but I always had an entrepreneurial spirit, right? That's what drove me to do the things that I was doing. As soon as I graduated college, I got a job for another entrepreneur who had like 10 businesses, just doing marketing for him. Just all over Kansas City, different stuff. Started getting more and more into the business planning aspect of that. But I always wanted a side hustle, right? It's like, hey, can I get multiple streams of income going here? So as strange as it sounds, we developed a movie social network that was online, and our source of income was through ad revenue, right? Movie studios, TV studios, those kind of things would actually pay to place ads on our website. And there was a lot of development on, code development stuff. I didn't do the code, I did the design, but it took a year, 18 months to actually launch that thing. Did it right after we graduated. And then I made a few dollars on that. Took 6 or 7 years to kind of get to where it was actually making a dime. And then I saved every single thing I made from that. And my wife and I were like, hey, look, we're going to save this. And then eventually I'm going to quit my job and do something amazing. Well, our ad revenue was tied so much to Google's algorithms that it just made it impossible to keep up with that. So, and I had kids and just, ended up not working out, but I still needed that side hustle. So I sold that business back to my business partners. So they took it over, kept all the money from that in a bank account. And then we built our dream house. So we used all that money, to help with the down payment on building our dream house. And through that, we did a really good job building our dream house. We had a ton of equity built up into that on day of closing. So we used those funds to then take out a home equity line of credit. And how I really decided real estate was the right thing for me was, I guess, just listening to things, Bigger Pockets, reading books, Rich Dad, Poor Dad when I was 14, all that kind of stuff. And decided that, hey, look, I'm only going to invest in really great neighborhoods with a lot of economic activity. So I chose some urban core properties here in Kansas City. I ended up buying 4 large houses, turned them into Airbnbs. This was all kind of right around a year or so before the pandemic hit.
4 Airbnbs?
Yeah, I had 4 Airbnb houses.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they were huge. I spent way too much money on furniture and artwork and all that kind of silly stuff. But I was always itching to have something to get me out of my day job. I really wanted out of my day job.
Yeah.
So how do I get out of my day job? Well, if I work really hard on something else, maybe you'll finally get out of it.
Yeah.
I never did get out of it from that, but I met a mentor. And he's like, wow, you're pretty good at, bugging people. And I was like, yeah. And so he convinced me. I met him through cold calling. He convinced me to get my license. So I went out and got my license, and, ended up at Clemens Real Estate, and then met Logan Freeman, and then we started our own brokerage together and really had a knack for that. So that's how I got into real estate, and it's been a great journey so far, and I'm looking forward to the next chapter.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. So those Airbnbs, do you still have them?
No, I'm also like a creative finance guru, similar to you, Aaron.
Yeah, we've talked.
Yeah, we talked a lot about that. But the 4 houses, I bought one of them at traditional financing. The other 3 I bought on a lease purchase option, which is basically where I gave them, a down payment and then some rent each month. And with the goal of building up equity or whatever with it to be able to actually purchase it outright within a certain period of time. So one of them, I gave it back to the seller pretty close, right around the pandemic hit. There's no way it was going to make money. And then one of the other ones I actually sold for him. I didn't take a commission on it, but I sold for him as an agent. And then the other one, the gal really wanted out of it. And I actually really wanted to keep it because long term it was going to be a great location right next to Children's Mercy downtown. But I just, it was going to take more money to make it work. And I was like, I'm out. So I actually sold that one for her as well, no commission on it. And then the 4th one I actually kept and turned it into a long-term rental because it was in a great location and, rents for great rents and all that kind of stuff. So I got, one house out of the deal of the four I
out of the 4.
Yeah.
Well, with Airbnbs, I always think of like having a couple Airbnb properties myself, like having those multiple exit strategies too, right? Like, is this going to work as a rental, long-term rental, or could I sell this at any time? Like, do I have built-in equity where it's more of a flip, like, hey, it didn't really work out, or it did, but I just don't want to do this anymore. And I'm not trapped to answer questions at 12 a.m. about how to get the Nintendo going.
Yeah.
By your guests that are staying on the weekend, right?
Yeah, I don't have any ping pong balls left, so I can't ping pong. How do I get those? Yeah, and you bring up a great point because that's why I bought those is for all the multiple exit strategies that were there. Of course, I couldn't predict a pandemic. But, I did consider Airbnb laws, the changing environment, all those kind of things. Like, hey, look, if I actually bought this thing, what could it rent for? And what would really be the future value of it, 5, 10 year hold? I know a lot more than I knew then about all that stuff, but I was at least considering it. And to the, credit of the podcast name, it makes sense. You got to think about that exit strategy for sure.
So making the leap from day job and this kind of tech business to real estate investor to founder of commercial brokerage company, tell us a little more about, how did that trajectory play out in terms of, like, what were the moments where you knew, like, it's time to move from this thing to this thing?
Yeah, great question. I mean, you're sitting there, and I had this day job. The day job I got from literally, it's not literally is exaggeration, but it was right after I graduated college. Christmas hit. I started on my birthday, January 9th, 2006. And that's the date I started. I brought my own computer into the office because this guy was transitioning. Somehow I trusted him that he was going to do all these different things. Turned out to be great, but there was like every 2, 3, 4 years, I was like, I need a different job. I'm an entrepreneur, right? But I didn't really trust myself. And so I'd ask myself that, I tell myself that every 3 or 4 years, all the time really, but it's like, I really need a different job. Well, they kept giving me promotions. I'd work really hard, get a promotion to something, work really hard, get a promotion, and the business kept growing, kept doing great things. The thankful thing I'm really thankful for is the pandemic hit. And because of that, I actually got fired. I say that proudly from, from the pandemic. It's not directly tied to the pandemic, but I'll just say it was. I got fired, but I already had my license. I was already doing well in multifamily sales. I didn't know how well I was going to do. I was terrified the moment I got fired. I had a big smile on my face. I got a decent severance package and, all that kind of stuff. But it really helped. Obviously, that's going to force you to look really hard at what you're doing. So I didn't ever actually have to make that choice that, hey, look, this is, I'm going to quit my day job and go into this. I think that's a very difficult decision to make, especially if you have family and kids and 401ks and insurance. All those different things. And, I looked at that moment, even before it happened, like a lot of the other entrepreneurs that are out there that did similar things in terms of quitting their job, taking the risk, all those different things. It's easier to be forced to than to make that decision on your own, I think.
I actually have had conversations with a lot of entrepreneurs, even one guy we interviewed on this podcast that talked about how it was kind of accidental. Not that it was accidental fully, but that's kind of part of the journey. I know you mentioned, you wanted to take the leap. You wanted, like, it was in you, but you didn't quite trust yourself. And it's almost like it took that, like, hey, you've got to do it. Do you think that if that you've got to do it, you're fired moment had not happened, do you think that you would have ever taken the leap?
It's an amazing question, because my wife probably would have, I wouldn't say never let me, but it would have been a very difficult conversation. There'd probably be a lot of, hindsight 2020, like, what if it didn't work out? Holy cow, imagine how mad she would be. She makes good money, good income herself as well, but, it's that stability that you need with a family, especially a young family. And this was, whatever it was, almost 3 years ago today.
Yeah.
And, so you got a young family, people depend on you. So it's not just your decision. It's so much easier to be an entrepreneur when you're single and young and don't have anything to lose anyway, right? Because you have no money, you have no cars. But then when you get older, you got a family, and it's like, I'm going to have a second career. It's like, why are you, everybody, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Why are you putting yourself at risk on all these different things? And so you have so much pressure that people are putting on you, plus you're putting on yourself, that I don't know if I ever would have done it.
Yeah.
I tell myself I would have, but I don't know if I actually would have.
Yeah.
That's super interesting, because I think so many people, it's exactly what you said, right? They get stuck. And not that it's bad to be in any sort of job like that. Like, I even think of, like, we look negatively, like, oh, it's a rat race or whatever. And I don't view it that way, because I think that there's so many skills that can be developed through that. And I think it's all about having an exit. So even if I've had various W-2 jobs where the goal of that job was to exit into the next thing, right? And that was a stepping stone to that. But it's just interesting how so many people, because of what you just mentioned, whether it's, financial commitments, or you have a mortgage and, wife and kids, and you're like, stepping out of that is kind of frightening. And so, yeah.
And I don't know the statistics on it, but, how many different entrepreneurs that I think were instrumental, Steve Jobs, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, all these different people, whether you love them or hate them, but if you read their biographies on them, it's like they started when they were young, they had no risk, they had no money, all these different things.
They worked out of a garage.
All those different things. And so finding the people that didn't have to do that, as a true entrepreneur, it's kind of hard to find if you really kind of dig into it.
Wow.
Do you think it's possible to have, like, along those lines, like, some kind of stability, like say you've got your real estate business, which is transactional, right? So you need to find another client, but it's stable in a sense. But then also be building up, kind of scratching that entrepreneurial itch, right? Where because you said you've always kind of wanted passive income to get out of the day job. So do you view as a brokerage, your work as a real estate agent as like a day job you're trying to get out of, to get into passive income, or you just love it, where you're like, hey, this is, I want to do this until I'm 90?
I don't know the answer to that, but I don't know the direct answer, because I do love it. That's the first, I guess.
Which is really cool that you have been able to combine that passion with the income too.
Yeah,
right?
And I love real estate, because on one hand, like, when I was thinking about it a lot, I was like, everybody does real estate. Everybody says they're an investor. Everybody says they're this. Everybody says they're amazing at it, right? Everybody does. There's 10,000 real estate agents here in Kansas City or so. And so that's a lot. But the reason why there's so many, and the reason why I like it, is because there's so many different aspects of it. You got different asset classes, you got different, types of assets, you got different locations, you got all these different ways you can specialize in making revenue. And at the end of the day, too, the one thing I like about it as a investor is, and a landlord, is you are hopefully providing a decent and nice place for other people to live in that, obviously they're there because they can't afford something better or nicer, or at their point in time, that's all they can afford. There's so many different aspects of real estate that I do like, and I've got a lot of short-term goals, and I got a lot of long-term goals, and how do those fit together? It's always a moving, moving piece, because as an entrepreneur, your income isn't fixed every single month.
Exactly.
You can hope and pray and all these other things for, like, okay, please give me a lot of
this
money.
deal goes
yeah,
through.
Yeah, hope this deal goes through.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. If not, I'm not going to get the listing and I'm not going to get a dime off it, but I spent 6 months.
Yeah.
So you kind of treat money a lot differently than you would if you had a steady passive income. A steady passive income allows you to be more aggressive with, if you know you have more of a guaranteed income, you can be more aggressive with your side hustles, I think. Because you've got the predictable income coming in.
Take that risk.
Yeah, I can take a risk on a side hustle or a part hustle or whatever you want to call it, my Etsy shop, whatever it is, to make a lot of money. So, I mean, you've got a lot of different options there.
Yeah. No, that's cool, because I think that is applicable too, because like not everyone's like all or nothing,
Totally.
And I think there are a lot of people, listeners of this podcast and just entrepreneurs, people that have a little bit of, are wired that way, but maybe not 100%, maybe 80% or 50%, where they're like, yeah, I want to create and be an entrepreneur, and I'm okay with taking that measured risk, as long as I do have, some income coming in. So I was just curious if that was kind of more like what kind of how you were setting things up.
Yeah, and I've got different streams of passive income there as well. You've got the active investments, and then you've got the passive real estate investments that you kind of, I say this tongue in cheek, like you kind of forgot that you gave to somebody, and then, oh my gosh, okay, I got a check here. Okay, this is cool. I love this. How much did I give him again? Okay, I didn't give him that much. Wow, I already got some of it back. Those kind of things are really nice feelings. At first, it's terrifying, and you're like, dang it, where's my check at? I put all this money into this thing. But then you start getting regular incomes, and it's pretty dang powerful and diversifies what you're doing. So I'm also thinking like, sure, I want active investments, but I also want to do some passive investing, and we've got some stock market stuff here, and just different things that do help with the passive investing side, because it's just you think about tomorrow, if the real estate, as a broker, I lose my license for whatever reason tomorrow, it'd be nice to have something coming in, and so having those backup set up is really nice too.
Yeah.
And it's like real financial freedom,
Exactly.
Passive income, cash flow is real financial freedom, because it's, it's money you can count on that you don't have to go out and get, so that's really cool. So you mentioned all the different real estate asset classes, all the different avenues and ways that you could plug in and get involved in the, real estate world, 3-4 years ago, like you did. What was it about multifamily commercial that was compelling to you? Why did you want to get involved in that asset class?
Yeah, and I mean, I don't want to say all the cliche things, but the number one cliche thing is that even though it is cliche, it is true. Everybody needs a place to live. Every single person needs a place to live. And there's statistics all over the place. You Google about, we need more housing, we need more multifamily, we need all these different things. We don't have enough inventory. And then you look at a city like Kansas City, which is luckily and thankfully in my backyard, that is a growing city, is progressive. When I moved down here 15, I don't know, maybe it's 20 years now, 20 years ago, the Sprint Center was just there. It wasn't even open yet. I'm like, wow, this city, is really trying to do some different things.
Yeah.
And so it's not a perfect city, no city is, but all those different things combined, people need a place to live, anticipating Kansas City is going to grow, people want to buy it, so I look at supply and demand, traditional economic key indicators, and I really wanted to be into multifamily because of that. And then again, there's different asset classes. Some people just want to go out and build brand new stuff and manage and own that, and that's cool.
Yeah.
And then there's also the opportunity, the more creative side, which I liked, and I kind of learned a few things when I was building my house, which is how to make things better and bigger, and not spend a ton of money on it, but what's the biggest impact. So I really like the economic aspect of putting in stainless steel appliances. You can have crappy countertops, but stainless steel appliances will get you $150 more a month in rent, or whatever it is. A washer and dryer in unit. I like those kind of creative problem solving, and helping the clients understand that too, of why this is the way it is. So that's why I really like the multifamily asset class.
Yeah. No, it's so true. I think about like just the counter-cyclical nature too of multifamily, how it's just recession resistant. I mean, it's almost like if a recession comes, it's almost like multifamily goes up in value a lot of the time. I mean, that's the economics of it, because the last thing, a lot of people are downsizing from, traditional single-family homes or whatever. They're moving into apartments, so there's greater demand in that. Then even government programs prioritize rent subsidies and things like that. And so it's like, I love it too. That's the reason why I asked that question. So
you said something, Alex, I wanted to just clarify. Active real estate investing and passive real estate investing, you're doing both. What does that look like, just in case somebody is unaware of that? Or
Yeah, the big difference between two, active is I bought this thing and either I'm managing it myself or I have a property manager managing that, which means I got to manage the property manager. I am actively involved in every single day-to-day decision or even monthly decision. Whereas something more passive is you place your funds with a syndicator, a syndication group or similar, and say, hey, look, here's amount of money for it. You've promised an X percent return over a 5-year period. And I just give that money to that group and I say, hey, look, send me the check based on what we agreed to and talked about.
Yeah.
And then checks start showing up in your account, within 3 months, 6 months, depends on how stable the property is and what you agreed to with the seller. And you have no operational control, but you also have no real, you have risk, but you don't have to put any time into it.
Right.
Yeah, I was wanting to clarify that because I was just, being somebody who's done both as well, we have the idea that, well, I'll hire a property manager and then it's passive investing, right? Because I have a property manager. But that hasn't been your experience.
No, the property management piece is a very large piece of making a multifamily investment.
You laughed when I said that. Silly. Sounds like your experience was not the case.
Well, I haven't had a property manager myself. I've just seen a lot of property managers' income and expenses, and they're all fine and different for different reasons and different properties. Sometimes it's a location, all those different things. We could talk about property managers all day long. I love them. I think they're great and have a great position, but you still have to manage the finances, the property. You're not directly managing every single line item entry, but if you've got a giant water bill and your property manager manages 2,000 units in your 12-unit apartment complex, are they really going to look too much at it?
Right.
9 out of 10 probably won't. So you're still looking at bills. As an active investor that has a property manager, you still have to manage the property manager. And, you can have an asset manager, all these other things, but you still have to make those day-to-day control decisions. How much are we going to spend on CapEx this year? There's wood rot on the exterior, and the decks need to be replaced. What kind of time frame are we going to do that all in 1 year? Are we going to do that in year 5? All those different decisions that you as an active investor, even though you're not managing day-to-day, have to make those decisions. Whereas passive, I'm trusting, I give you guys money or I give somebody money, I'm trusting them to make all those decisions. And please do not ask me any questions about this because that's why I gave you my money and you get your money. So that's the main difference I see.
I think most entrepreneurs, when they think about real estate, they think about the DIY version, right? The active version. And passive investing is super powerful. It's good to diversify, just like you said. So I think let's jump into the exit round.
Awesome. I'm ready.
We ask these same 5 questions to all of our guests. And so, I'll start with question number 1. I think every entrepreneur and business podcast asks this question, but
that's all right.
We want to ask it. What's your all-time favorite business book?
I can only say one.
You can give 2 or 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I have my all-time favorite that really inspired me was a book by Sam Zell, the billionaire real estate investor himself.
Okay.
And it's called Am I Being Too Subtle? And it's an autobiography on his experience in it. Now, he has a lot of different experience than I think all 3 of us have. He's an attorney and some of these other amazing things. But he took chances and he really looked at reasons to do deals, which I think is very important. If you're an entrepreneur and you want to be ultra successful, is look at reasons to do the deals. Don't look at reasons not to. I don't want to do that deal, the roof's bad. I don't want to do that deal because, was built in 1966 or some kind of arbitrary thing. He would look at, it might be built in 1966, but, I really like the facade, the location's amazing, and that's how he built up his empire, was doing every single deal almost that came across his desk, especially when you first started.
Yeah.
So that book is amazing. And I guess I'm going to keep it at that.
Yeah. That's it. Come on.
Awesome. Okay, question number 2, because I know we're talking to entrepreneurs here who are trying to create passive income. What percentage of your income would you say is passive versus active, where you got to go out and earn it every day?
Well, right now I'm pretty overloaded on earning it every day. So it's probably 95% I earn it myself and 5% passive. Now, there's other benefits in that as an active investor. On the real estate side, it's a little bit different than really truly being every single day I'm earning it. But that's the way I'm currently balanced. As I get older, you know, that's going to change a lot. But that's how I'm.
Yeah, you can start to divert some of that into more passive.
Yeah.
For sure.
No, that's awesome. So right now, what's one thing that you wish you could do more of, but your commitment to your business kind of holds you back from that?
Wish I could play more golf.
Okay.
You know, the guys in the office, I mean, they play golf for different reasons than what I would play golf for, but that'd be a lot more fun. Spend time with my dad playing golf would be cool. But, you know, me, I also really like doing deals, and not even the money aspect. I'll do a $2,000 deal for all I care. I love doing deals. So from that aspect, that's one thing I would love to be doing more of. Spending more time on the water, even though I live on the water and have a boat and everything, but more time I can spend out there, the better too.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
No,
You like
that's awesome.
fishing?
You know, I like fishing off my dock for 10 to 15 minutes. I hated it growing up, but now I'm like more into it because I got my poles down there and I just, this is
You got
cool.
your fridge right there.
awesome.
Right?
Right.
A couple of cold ones.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, question number 4. If you could go back, 20-year-old Alex, you know, same entrepreneurial, you know, chip that you have, what would you say to yourself back then or do differently, if anything?
Yeah. I mean, I think I'd probably do something I think that you did, Aaron, which is live in one of the units that you own, right? So you buy a fourplex, you live in one of the units, you rent out the other 3. And this is what I'm telling my 20-year-old self.
Yeah.
And also, Alex, make sure that you rent out the other 2 bedrooms in your own unit. The ultimate cash flow machine.
Your wife doesn't want to go for that now.
No, it's a little late stretch. Yeah, a little stretch on that.
Can we rent that extra bedroom, honey? No.
We did actually look at in Lee Summit a duplex. Our agent was trying to get us to buy, like, oh yeah, you can buy both sides, and we're like, 23 years old or whatever at the time. I'm like, no, I'm not dealing with my neighbor's toilet. You know, you think all these negative things about property management at the time. So anyway, that's what I would tell them that would get the ultimate jump start on financial freedom.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah. So you probably touched on some of this, but what is your strategy for creating more financial freedom and time freedom for yourself?
The financial freedom piece is, I mean, for me, it took me a long time, and now I call it really kind of like I'm uncapped, right? There's not a maximum amount of money I can make per year because I'm 100% commission based and can make whatever I want. I'm not tied to a bonus or anything. And so if you're wired that way to work hard and towards end goals, find a job for you that fits that, whether it's selling cars or real estate or any of those kind of things, to really kind of find something that can untap you. And if you're not wired that way, find something that you're happy doing and that you can maximize your time that you're in there. Make sure you enjoy doing it. If you don't enjoy doing it, you're not really ever going to be financially free because you're just unhappy.
Yeah.
And your second part of your question was
time freedom. Yeah.
Time freedom. So the biggest thing on time freedom is, as an entrepreneur, is put your phone on silent. I know that might sound kind of like easy and weird and all these other things, but when I put my phone on silent, I'm so much more dedicated to whatever's going on around me, and finding those times, whether it's 6 to 9 p.m. at night or not until 10 a.m. in the morning. So you're in control of your phone. When your phone's on silent, you're in control.
Yeah.
And I don't care who is calling you. It's only gonna be a couple hours so you can get back to them. It's fine. They're gonna be okay. And it took me a really long time to do that.
Yeah.
And I don't do it during the week.
Yeah.
And it's still hard for me on the weekends, but I'm like, I'm just gonna put my phone on silent, see how much I like. And I'm a lot happier when I do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really cool, man. Your time, just to what you just said, the financial freedom, like what you're saying is like you could have an income coming in, but if you're not happy, are you really like financially free, right? So it's not tied to the amount of money you're making. It's more holistic with what you're putting your time to each day. Even if you got, $1 million a year coming in, like, well, what are you going to do now, right? Like you still have to like find that passion or something that you're going to do that then brings you like that, fulfillment. And for you like doing deals, right? Which happens to be your day job as well. So it's like you have a measure of like freedom in that, right? And then I love what you said too about the time freedom, because that's just such a practical thing that anybody can just do, right?
Yep.
Like now, it's not like, oh, one day I'll have like more time. Like it's like, or just shut your phone off.
Yeah.
You know?
Shut your phone off and turn your computer lid and, see, and only look at it when you want to. You're in control. I tell myself that, Alex, you're in control.
Yeah.
Like right now, my phone's on silent. I don't know. I might have 20 missed calls from there. I might have 0. But I'm excited to see what the surprise is when I turn it back on,
Yeah, it's like if we can't take control of the time we have now, then who's to say whenever we're able to get more of it in the future or whatever, or we have more passive income, we're able to spend less, time on our business or whatever. Who's to say that we're going to take control of it then, or just let something else, eat away at it. So that's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for jumping on the podcast.
Yeah, man.
Alex,
No problem.
super cool. So how can people find you? You've got commercial real estate, brokerage. You're a buyer in Kansas City, or you're out of state. You want to get involved. How do they find you?
Yeah, the best place is you can go to my website, XChangeCRE.com. Starts with an X.
Commercial real estate, XCRE.
Yep, XChangeCRE.com. And then you can email me, alex@XChangeCRE.com. Or you're probably on LinkedIn, and you can find me with Alex Olson on LinkedIn.
You got a lot of followers on there.
Yeah, I've got about 12,000 or so right now.
And you post a lot of content on there. I follow you on there. So
that's good. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I love LinkedIn. I like it because it's pretty much all business.
It's just business. Yeah.
There's no politics or dogs or cats or any of that kind of stuff. It's just
no pictures of your breakfast.
Yeah, no, I don't need breakfast pics. Sometimes there's pictures of I did 4 workouts yesterday kind of stuff.
Yeah,
but at least it's business driven. It's like I did 4 workouts yesterday and I did these deals and all these. So you get some more meat to it.
Yeah, little mindset stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool. Yeah. Well, just like Aaron said, thank you, man. Thanks for jumping on the show with us.
It was great.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
See ya.